right, on now to a fun segment we do here called Healthy Innovations. We look for all kinds of new stuff, and we want to welcome Sam today. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thanks for having me, Liz. So I'm Sam. I'm a computer science student at Miami University. I have a big interest in politics, so I decided to use some of those skills to help Americans make better informed decisions at the polls.
You know, I love that. And this time of the year, we all feel a bit confused. So a couple questions about you. What made you choose Miami University?
So I had gone to a college advisor who had recommended Miami due to the good business school there. I had realized, though, a little bit later on that I also wanted a good mix of computer science because I had been coding for about 5 years prior to attending university. And Miami had a great balance of the two, so I decided that that would probably be the best fit.
Oh, good for you. All right, well, we have a couple photos you sent us. I just was curious because I think people that are IT people rule the world. So you shared with us a little bit about your education. What have you learned in this program that made you want to kind of start something new and do your own thing?
Yeah, so I really learned that it's very important to have, good accountability for your Congress people. There's just not as much of a spotlight on the congressional races as there is on the U.S. presidential race, and because of that, it can be very hard to find good information about your congressperson. So I decided that that would be one of the big goals of starting this project.
Interesting. So what you did is you developed an online tool to help us, and we thought this was perfect timing because we're all kind of making choices now. So tell me a little bit about this tool you developed.
Sure, yeah. So this tool is essentially what I call a digital profile, right? Rather than showing one aspect of your congressperson, such as, for example, what securities or stocks they traded, or maybe who donated to their campaign, right? This information is very often one singular topic and on many different sites. So the goal of this project is to find information from many different reliable sources about each U.S. congressperson and combine it together to kind of create this full view that helps you get a better idea of who exactly your congressperson is and why you might want to vote for them.
So it was interesting. We have a little voting video to share. It was interesting. It was sort of like, did you use the title, Who Did I Elect? Or how do you refer to the site and how do we kind of find it?
The site is called Who Did I Elect? That's right. To be quite honest, I didn't spend a ton of time on the naming.
I thought that was brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, the site, unfortunately, we could have a little bit of a better URL. It's congress.csi.miamioh.edu. So you can find it if you search it up online, type in that URL, or find one of the articles about it at Miami.
And so we'll put a link to that at what'shappeninginhealth.com. So I go to that link and then talk me through, like, what do I have to do to actually find out about the person I'm considering voting for?
Absolutely, yeah, it's very simple. So you go onto the site and you'll immediately just be presented with a big search bar that tells you can search for your congressperson, either by name or by zip code, because it might be difficult to figure out who exactly your congressperson is based on your region. So you can look them up. You can click on them and you can see a whole different array of information regarding them, what kinds of committees they're on, how effective they are at passing legislation, what bills they've sponsored, what votes they've made, all different areas.
So when I went on, it's pretty comprehensive. How long did it take you to start even just kind of collecting that? Has this been a labor of love for a while?
I did, yeah. I really enjoy programming in my free time. It's one of my biggest hobbies. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of late nights. Yeah, so I really started just by figuring out different topics that I thought would be important, right, such as donations, stock trades, whatnot, looking online to find reliable sources for that information and figuring out how to pull that data from those sources to combine it into one area.
So don't sell yourself short for your hobby also being like your job. It's good to love what you do, and then all work is fun and all fun is work. Good for you.
Oh, thank you.
But I was curious, you know, there was sort of a recurring theme, and I think it's interesting that you sort of followed the money, like who donated with it. You know, were there certain traits or certain, did you take a person and use the same algorithm for each person to try to find what you'd put about them, or just what was available? Essentially,
yeah. A lot of that data regarding their trades or donations, right, that financial data, it already comes from, sources that we find reliable.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? We do a little bit of cross-referencing in that data. So, for example, we'll take donations. We'll take the date of a donation if it came from a particular company and see if it's near, around the same time as maybe a stock trade they might have made on that same company. And that, combining those two can maybe provide some insight into whether they might have some sort of conflict of interest. So stuff like that. We do a little bit of connecting data, but mostly it's just combining everything into one place to make it a nice user-friendly experience that any voter can easily click on and see the information in a
Which is,
great way.
something really great to have, because then it lets you have the information and make an informed choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good
I
for
actually
you.
started this a little bit because I just wanted to find reliable information on my Congress people. So it was a little bit personal to me as well.
Good for you. And all right, final thought. Was there something that just surprised you when you started doing it? Like kind of the aha moment?
I think one thing that really surprised me is how concentrated some security stock trades are. There are some Congress people who have a lot of them, tens of thousands, and there are some Congress people who get a lot of attention for their stock trades that don't have quite as many. I think it's kind of interesting to actually look at the real data to see, what's true and what's not yourself.
That is so interesting. Well, we are delighted to share it. We will put a link to it. Please come back and let us know, just kind of what your traffic was and how people found it helpful as you kind of, I'm sure, refine it and make it better. Yeah,
Fantastic.
Good to have you here.
Thanks so much, Liz. Really appreciate it.
I love election season. I love that new things come out like this all the time. So good for you.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations on your work.